So I was at work earlier today, had a couple clients, and the original game plan was to work out at the gym. And I got on the treadmill, I started walking, warming up, and I really just needed to be in the sun. I needed some energy, I needed some rays. Some of the things that I practice and or do or teach, I personal train. I'm a private soccer coach, and I'm an artist. My art includes spoken word, as I've been sharing, and photography, videography. I am developing my skill sets in all the ways. What I'm most well versed in is my own experience. This is a place for me to share, but also learn. I'm a big believer in being a teacher and a student simultaneously. And there are things that I learn from the kids that I coach and from my clients. And of course, the dynamic there is also that I teach and I guide and I make sure that form is proper and that there's some sort of structure, things of that nature. Something that I find and that I hear quite often is you got to do what works for you. And there's nuance in training and the things that we do. So part of my sharing today and what I'll be doing later in terms of my own workout is that I have days where I go into the gym and there's structure. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have a 5 to 10 minute walk just to get the blood flowing. Then I have maybe 5 or 10 minutes of mobility where I'm mimicking similar movement patterns to what I'm going to be training that day. So if I'm squatting or lunging or just doing anything in my lower extremities, I'm making sure that things are warmed up. I'm foam rolling, creating mobility, not necessarily stretching in a static way, but more so just creating a sort of dynamic flow. Same thing for the upper body, right? Opening up the chest, the shoulders, the back. It's important to create time and space to just play with movement. And that's what days here at home have become for me, where I will dip and pull-up bar setup. I've got some plates, I've got a kettlebell, and some other little tools that I can just kind of flow with. Sometimes I'll give myself 30 minutes and okay, cool, maybe I have 5 or 6 exercises, just go. Maybe I rest in between, but I set up a timer for 30 minutes. I just go at it. Obviously I try to warm up and I allow myself to play within the realm of those movements. And I find that can be very recharging and refreshing. Not to mention that working outside just hits a little different, you know. There's something about the life-giving energy and force that is the sun. So I have a couple clients later in the evening and I'm training my high schoolers, David and Daniela. If you're watching this, what's up? We're gonna have a great session tonight. I'm having a little cafecito. This is a part of a series. It's called Coaches and Coffee, where I, as a coach, talk to you as a human being, because coaching is something that I do, but it is not who I am. I'm a human being first and foremost, and there are skills and there are interests and there are things that I've learned and continue to learn and study that I'd like to share. I've also noticed in my recent recordings that I've got some work to do in terms of how I communicate, and I don't believe I'm a bad communicator. However, in my enunciation, in my cadence, in my word choice, sometimes my fillers, I am observing by watching back some of these videos that I could be better, and that's a really cool place to be. I'm of the thought process that I am here to evolve. I'm a spiritual being, a little piece of God, of universe. I'm a speck of dust having this human experience. And while I'm here, there are a couple things that I want to do. Number one is I want to nourish my soul, right? And I feel that I do that in even spaces like this where I get to ground, quality conversation and time and community and spending time with people I love, but then also just growing and evolving. when I read, when I take the time to learn and also practice using the privilege that I have, that is movement and so-called exercise and or cooking or whatever the case may be, that's information and it's medicine that I get to use and implement in my life. And if we are not well for ourselves, then we cannot be well for others and our community. And when you come from communities that are being attacked and stripped away from their homes and from their families, it is even more important to take care of yourself. And this is just my, as we say in Spanish, granito de arena, my little bit of perspective via movement, medicine, some dialogue, some conversation. And it's not easy to put yourself in front of camera. It's also not easy to create when we're in a space and time in this reality in this country where it kind of feels like things are falling apart, and they are, right? Some food for thought there. Cheers if you're having a cafecito and watching this, or water, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just fueling up for this session. Also, brainstorming. I have an idea of what I'm doing today. I'm gonna get in some rotation. I'm gonna do some pull-ups, some dips. I'll alternate the grip. Squats. I think that's about it. This is a goated combination, by the way. Cold brew and a platanito. If ever you're wondering what to have as a pre-workout, a little fruit, a little coffee, will change your life. I have clients that sometimes show up without eating anything other than coffee and water. And sometimes they get away with it. Other times they get lightheaded. So my recommendation always is, do what works best for you. But generally, it's not the worst thing to have a little bit of fuel in your body. Now, if you're fasting for religious reasons, things like that, I get it. Otherwise, a little fuel in the tank helps. Especially if you're an athlete. Okay. These are a little harder. There's more core involved when your legs are out in front of you. 2 more. I'm almost there. Okay. I'm gonna lock in. If I have any post-workout thoughts, things to share, maybe we just want to show off the pump, I'll hit record again. Otherwise, peace. See you in the next clip.